Welcome to How the Blank, and this is How the Braxton.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to How the Blank, guys.
Yes, sir.
So, this is kind of like our origin stories, right? How we got into the departments we're in, like how I got into theater, how Brandon got into like dancing theater and all that.
How I did everything.
Yeah, and how Jackson got into music, right? So we're all gonna take an episode about 30 minutes and go over kind of like our origins. And so I'm going to start, and then we'll keep going and go to the next person.
So explain, what exactly is a Braxton?
So
What is a Braxton? Where does it come from?
so I was born in Provo, Utah.
We're going way back.
Yeah, we're going way back to the beginning, because actually I started acting when I was 6 months old.
Wow.
So it was this show at UVU because my grandpa helped run the theater program there, and he started the children's theater stuff, and that's kind of why we do the Kim Project, is based off of like his stuff, right? And so he had me in this show called Rashomon, and it's about these two samurais that like kill each other.
Dang.
And how it ends is one of them have a baby, and it's given to the other samurai's family, right? Wow. At the end, and they raise it, and they become part of one family.
Oh, nice.
And so like it's kind of this sentimental thing, but I was on it, and my aunt had to bring me out and pinch me every night so that I would cry, and she could not do it. She was like, "No, he's too cute. Like, no, I can't do that. I can't hurt him." And so, like, we had to, like, eventually get a recording and other stuff is what my grandpa did, because he was just so frustrated with my aunt. He's like, "Just make the baby cry. It's fine. Babies cry all the time." Like,
it's like I already dropped it a couple times.
yeah,
I already did that.
But so that was kind of my starts of theater, because my family was just into theater, and so we just did all these things. And there was this other theater that we went to. I don't remember the name of it, but we did a bunch of fairy tales and acted them out. And so I was four or five when we started that. So I was Jack from Jack and Jill, right? I was the horseman from like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, wow.
Right? And my friend was the horse. And so like it was kind of weird, because like we'd grab onto their back and like weirdly hop.
That's
like
funny.
it looked so weird.
Moving around.
Those kid shows do look weird, like from an adult perspective.
Yeah. They did get kind of strange.
Milk on your face.
So we did all that, right? And I did that, and my siblings were in Into the Woods. So they did the children's show first, and then did the other children's show after, which was a full musical.
Nice.
Right? And so we did that. And I just remember loving it ever since then. Like, it was one of my favorite things, is because I could kind of act and be someone else and really kind of process what was going on in my life. Because, like, I definitely didn't have, like, what you'd say is a normal childhood. Like, I did, but I didn't. My parents got divorced when I was about 6.
Wow.
Right? And so I would still do like theater stuff and other things, but like theater kind of helped me process my emotions, right?
Oh, interesting.
And I also had a brother with Down syndrome, and so a lot of my parents' time were focused on him.
Yeah.
Right? So like I kind of used my imagination to like create plays, and what's funny is like with my cousins, we would create plays every time we hung out. we'd create a show and we'd put it on for the family. Like we'd do it every time. And I was like, I realized that was kind of like where I got to like now, where it's like I'm doing that still today.
That's
you
crazy.
know. But like when we come over at like Christmas time, we made like a Rudolph parody one, and of course like I would direct these things, and that's how like I would be like, oh, I'm really liking this because I had control, like I had the ability to not necessarily like boss my cousins around, but I had the ability to be like, oh, we should do this and this, and like be so creative. And I was pretty much directing these mini shows every like 3 months with my cousins.
That's awesome.
Right? And like we even got it big enough where we created a Thanksgiving show.
That's cool.
At Thanksgiving when I was, I think, 12. Right.
Wow.
And I casted myself in it and all my cousins, and literally we told the story of our ancestors because the Brewster family came over on the Mayflower. We are actually
that's cool.
The religious leader.
Wow.
William Brewster was the religious leader, and he had that dream because you know the whole story with the Mayflower, how they were like being persecuted for what they believed in, right? And they sailed over, but the only reason why they actually sailed is because William Brewster had this dream that they would be able to board this boat, and the thing is, it happened.
That's crazy.
Right? Like his dream like came true. They were able to get the ship, get merchants to like get it all set up, and they sailed off. Wow. Right? And so like I made this whole musical that started with his dream and ended with the first Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
Right? And
how long was it? Do you remember?
It was about 30 minutes.
That's a pretty dang good.
And we have it filmed and they filmed it and everything. I need to find it because my aunts apparently filmed it, and wow. And so like that was kind of my like biggest taste of directing.
That's cool.
Right? And it made me want to do more and more. And so I was in the 2 production companies. So I was in Bravo in junior high, which was kind of like our production company, right? Where we made small scripts, we like put on scenes and stuff, and I was cast in a scene that we filmed. It's actually on my YouTube. My friend does not like, he's like, why'd you film this? Why'd you put this on YouTube? Like, but we're in this one where I was a robber and came and like, and we had this heart-to-heart with this pizza guy, and he like
pizza guy,
because I was robbing this pizzeria for some reason, and cops came, and I escaped with a poodle. That's how it ended. It was such a weird like show, but it was my first ever like lead role, right? That I didn't like give myself, you know, and so like
gave himself a poodle as a reward,
and like someone else wrote this, but we like acted it, and it was such a weird.
That's funny though.
Like
that's
show.
A good little experience.
Yeah, and so we do that, right, and then we do Mouse That Roared, which is this weird like 50s show. It was this movie that was turned into a script called The Mouse That Roared, and it's like about this little country that still has a queen and stuff that like came over to the United States and stole nuclear plans.
Wow.
Right? Like it was in the 50s and everything, and they pretty much found a way to like make it so that the US paid them money so that they could like survive as a company. Not as a company, as a country.
That's what U.S. does anyway.
I know. But it's because they had like nuclear plans
That's
and
crazy.
everything. And so I was a scientist in it and then also like part of the army. So I literally had to do so many costume changes.
Wow.
Because literally my character goes off and my other character comes on. So I literally had to like strip off, strip on, like, let's go. Like,
Dang, dude.
and that was like the worst show ever. Like it was so bad.
Was it like a big public show to like a lot of people?
Like there was a lot of people because it was our like play that we did for Bravo,
Oh,
right?
okay.
But the communication of the cast was awful. We're all at each other's throats. Like some people were like, "I'm in charge." No, I'm in charge, and I was just kind of in the back, like,
Could you
I'm.
could you explain to the people what Bravo is?
So yeah, Bravo was just our production company. So you had to audition, right, to be in it, and we did plays and other. It was pretty much the highest theater class that you could do, and you actually did like out of school stuff, and so it was kind of like you mixed the highest level and a club together.
Oh, cool.
And you got Bravo.
Is that through a school system or is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was through our junior high.
That's cool.
And it was just that show was awful.
I can tell. Yeah.
Awful things happened every night. I got hit in the back of the head with
Dang.
a 2x4.
What?
Yeah,
Like hard?
yeah.
That
Like
explains a
How'd that happen?
okay, so we had to move the castle. So we had like a castle set piece.
Yeah.
And my friend, which I won't name his name, but he's hit me with a 2x4 4 times within this production.
Oh.
Are we sure?
Now
that
I
this is,
understand.
Are we sure this is a friend at this point?
Yeah,
Like,
4 times,
no,
dude. There's no way.
What's okay? He's like as
Dang.
ADHD and weird as me, and he's colorblind.
So he just couldn't see you on purpose, or like?
Well, so what happened?
Is that what he said?
Is like
I'm colorblind, sorry.
I would ask him something, and he'd be like, "What?" And he had the 2x4, and so like one time I asked him a question. He was holding the 2x4, and it was like 2 feet in front of him, and he was like, "What?" And it went bam across my face, and I was like, "Ow!" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and he. And he's like, "Oh, I better go put this away." And he hits me on the second time.
What the heck?
Yeah. And I was like, "Okay." And then he hits me, and then he's like, "Oh crap." And he drops it and hits me again with it because he drops it back and it like goes back and hits me. And I'm like, "Okay, what is happening?"
It's like a cartoon, dude. He's
know.
like,
And then for the last time, right, it was like during the set, we had to move the set on.
yeah.
And this time, like, so they had the set too far forward, and I was in my right place. At least I'm pretty sure I was, right? Because I'm like, this is the right place every night. But they had like a 2x4 sticking out so that it would stabilize. And they brought it on and like hit my head as it was going out. And so I swear I had a concussion.
I feel like you just have
Because-
low situational awareness.
Honestly, like as I'm looking back on it, on all the last productions, even outside of What the Blank, I can't think of a single time you were backstage and didn't get hit with something.
Yeah.
You have so many injuries when you're in the behind the scenes.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. I think it's because I get like too involved.
Dude,
you know?
you are destined to get killed on stage.
Oh,
that's where you
swear.
die. You were born on stage and you're gonna die on stage.
Oh, I swear.
At least backstage.
Yeah. But yeah, so like all that happened, and then so then like after junior high, I joined this like kind of theater company in Pleasant Grove, right? And I was gonna do that instead of just doing high school for at least my sophomore year, because I had more guarantee of getting lead roles, and I was wanting that at the time because at the time I wanted to be an actor, and that's it, right? I wanted to be a musical theater actor, and so I did that, and I quit halfway through because my teacher, who was also a family friend of ours, right, sat me down and was like, "You'll get more opportunities with me, and I will make it worth your time if
Wow.
you quit this and do the school musical. And I was like, okay.
That's cool.
So like I do the whole school musical, and I didn't really ever get a lead though, even though
No.
she promised like. But the thing
Lies.
is, like, okay, she's like, no, you got a lead, and it was the dead body in Lucky Stiff, my senior
You
year.
were a dead body?
Yeah, I was a dead body. I
You
was
got
on
the lowest of the low.
So you were the lucky stiff.
Yeah. See, and
A real
but
bored.
I was on stage more than anyone else. Like I was always on stage with that.
So you were the lead.
Yeah, pretty much.
The
But
silent lead.
yeah,
Dang.
but she gave me so she gave me Theseus, which is a decent thing in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Like he's not a lead, but he kind of is the inciting incident.
Okay.
Right? He kind of starts everything. And then he finishes it, but then she cuts all the end lines because one, they're kind of boring. Two, I couldn't memorize them. It was so hard because
Were they just really long?
so yeah, they were like these massive things, and they would like rhyme with each other, and then they would like reuse like certain sections of the line, and then say it again, but in a different way.
That's annoying.
And so I get so stuck. So she was like, "Okay, I'm just cutting all these." I'm like, "But I wanted more time.
Dang.
Like, please."
That's crazy.
But so like all throughout high school, I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of theater stuff. It was really fun. I was in a lot of fun productions, and she would put me in these weird comedy moments. Like you know how sometimes in a show like you need one person to be like the funny gag or something like that. Like one time, so in like White Christmas, I was supposed to be the sleeping person on the side, like, and it was just supposed to be funny, right? So she kept giving me these gags and stuff, and then she'd always make me the, so you know how like most bad guys have like an underling, right? Like the evil comedy person.
Yep.
That was me. I was always that in.
That was the same for me in high school too with my plays. Yeah.
And so like in Scarlet Pimpernel, like I was Mercier, right, which was just a goon that kept getting like tied up and beat up, and then I was a governor in Lil Abner, and like all these things. And so I realized, oh yeah, I was really good at comedy. I started doing an improv troupe, and I was actually excelling my senior year. Like,
That's awesome.
like I was in every improv show because I was actually working and understanding, and I understood how comedy worked finally. And so like I was so excited with this. And then as a senior, you had the opportunity to direct a one act if you wanted to. And so I made a one act version of my grandpa's play that he wrote about Vietnam.
Whoa.
And his personal experience with it. He never went, but he was a teacher during that time.
Did he go there during that moment?
He
or
never
was it...
went to Vietnam, but he sent a lot of his students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, and so like, and so his my great grandpa was in the military in the Navy, right? So he thought that it was really important to have people go, right, and support your country and stuff. And then he saw how many of his students died, and he saw how Vietnam itself just affected everyone. And so he wanted to write a show, right, for it. And so I had to take this. So it's a bunch of vignettes, right, which is like little scenes that all come together to tell one big story, right? And I took those vignettes, and I took this an hour and 45-minute play and cut it down to 20 minutes.
Wow. That is crazy.
And so like it was hard. It was like the most difficult thing I did. I directed it. I did the lighting, I did the sound, like everything you could do for the production besides acting, I did. And I was even an understudy for one of my actors because he kept not showing up. He's like, "Oh, I had this schedule." And I'm like, "Dude, I gave you this schedule 3 months ago.
Wow.
Like, come on.
That's annoying.
like, please, please, please. And he was like my lead too. And I was like, I'm gonna kill him.
Yikes.
Like,
So what'd you do?
so I would go on. Like, he was.
You did
not-
everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, so he came. So he didn't show up for the dress rehearsal until the very end, right? And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" So I went on in his costume and stuff, which did not fit me super well, right? And so like I did his. It
was like me in that dress.
Yeah, I did his part until he finally came, and then he did the rest. But I was so frustrated. I was like, I'm gonna kill him. Like,
Oh, man.
But the thing is, if it wasn't for that one act, I wouldn't have learned to love directing, because I helped a lot of the actors come out of their shell, and I actually prepared them for when they entered productions, right? Because there's this one that was a sophomore, and he was just kind of like, you know, those goofy like sophomores.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually played the role that the scene that is my grandpa's story. And I worked with him so hard, and he became a phenomenal actor. Like, amazing. And it was because we worked so hard together. It wasn't just him and it wasn't just me. It was that collaboration, right? And that's where I was like, I love to direct. I need to direct. And so ever since then, I'm like, I need to direct. Like, so I went on my mission. I did a lot of singing there and stuff, like, while I was a missionary, because I love using my talents and stuff. And so, like, I was growing in that way. And then I came home and I started going to school, and I was like, hey, I need to learn directing. I need to do that. So I went to UVU, did all that. But the directing program there, it was good.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I hated the directing program. My community college taught me more than that university did.
The thing is, it just kept changing. Like, we kept getting new directors, new stuff, and it was like...
But it wasn't changing because it was intentional. It was changing because they couldn't keep anybody.
Yeah, they couldn't keep anybody. And so, like, I had to fight to direct things. I had to fight to, like, even be in productions and stuff at UVU. And I think that fight kind of helped me learn and grow and get to a point where I could be there for What the Blank, right? Because I learned so many skills that I wouldn't have, because I had to fight for it. Like, I had to fight tooth and nail to even be helping out with the platform productions, and the platform productions are student run, right? Where they kind of just leave you to the wolves. They're like, here's a play, do it. And here's your budget, and you can ask us questions, and that's it. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, and most of the time you have to email them and wait 3 to 5 business days for a response.
Yeah,
That sucks.
And so it was just awful. Like, but I wouldn't have traded it for the world, to be honest.
It like lit the fire. To
You
make
probably learned a
know-
lot in that too.
Yeah.
You know you want this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I learned how to set design. I learned how to stage manage. I learned pretty much every aspect of theater besides lighting from that, right? But it was more because I didn't want to do lighting, because
Yeah, lighting
lighting's
sucks.
like, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I can just hire someone for that. You know?
Let's have someone else do it.
And so, like, I just, like, was just going, you know, like,
That's crazy.
and so, like, I learned all those things, and I'm so glad I was able to. So I set design for I Hate Hamlet, and I was able to, like, do it with a deaf director, which was
Wow.
yeah, it was so hard communication wise, because I had to redesign it 6 times.
And you don't know sign language or anything?
I do know
Oh, you
sign
do?
language.
Wow.
It's just, the thing is, it doesn't fully translate to theater.
Oh.
It translates. It doesn't fully translate to set design for theater, because it doesn't make full sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's only like things.
Yeah. Well, and it
I'm trying so
probably
hard.
does if you've only seen theater as a deaf person.
Okay.
Right? But I see it as a hearing person.
Yeah.
So like our perspectives were way different. But it was that like kind of put a fire underneath me that I need to do more. I need to change theater to be more inclusive for people with disabilities, more inclusive for people with families, more inclusive for all these things. And that was the thing that made me like, no, theater needs to change. This needs to change, right? Because if the theater world keeps being this monster that keeps eating itself, it's going to die out, and I don't want that, because theater can change lives if you let it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I need to have a program. I need to have my own theater company and stuff. And so when Brandon like reached out to me to do stage management, and he wouldn't have if I didn't do 448 Psychosis with one of my other friends, like he wouldn't have known that I did any stage management stuff. And the thing is, people say I'm a good stage manager. I don't know why they say that, but I think it's because of how important communication is to me, and also how much I get crap done with no time. Like people will give me 50 things and I'll get them done, and they're like, "How did you do that?" And we didn't expect you to do that. I'm like, "Well, you gave me a list, so I'm gonna do it." Right? And I think that's what got me to a point where I could be that director, stage manager, producer that I need to be in What the Blank. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I got here, right? And I kind of told the story where it's like it started where I was just a stage manager for What the Blank, and then Brandon just kept asking me things before and after the stage management thing, but it made me want to be like, okay, what more shows can I do? What can I do to change things and to make things better? And Brandon was like, ooh, right pickings, I can use him.
You did. You had like the hunger to want to do things in a unique way that wasn't textbook. And like one thing I'll say about like Braxton is like we had gone out and tried so many things that fell on its face. And then Braxton would just get up and be like, right after the event, as like we bombed the show or the improv or whatever, because it was such a low audience intake, because it was like the first things we were doing. Didn't even have marketing teams at that time. And like it would fail. And then Braxton would come backstage and be like, okay, what are we doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
And he just was ready to go all the time.
He didn't even care.
I loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's some good determination right there.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how I got here, you know, and it took all those like kind of struggles, right? That those times in junior high, those times even in when I was 4 or 5, where I just loved immersing myself in there. But I think it's because I found myself in theater. I don't think I'd be the same person without it. And so I think really you just need to find yourself, right? If you can't find yourself in the career you want, then I don't think that's the career you need, you know? And so I'm glad I found myself and I'm here, you know? So that's my origin. And we will do the next origin next episode.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
For part 2.
Yep. And so you can follow. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yep.
Spotify.
And
And
Spotify. For
Spotify.
If you don't want to
for
look at our
audio.
faces.
Yeah.
Yep. You can just go to Spotify for our audio only podcast and YouTube for our videos, and we do a lot of fun edits, and we make it pretty interesting on all of our platforms. So yeah.
So please stay tuned, and we'll see you next episode. Bye.
Bye.